Hey, so I have two breakouts. Look at how cute they are, right in a line. This is a great opportunity for me to show you how to spot conceal, because I know I've been kind of pushing this like no foundation makeup look, and a lot of you are like, no. So number one tip that I can give you is hydration. That is super important. Like, have you ever tried to build up coverage over a dry area of skin? It never goes well. I will basically layer my, like all of my skincare, my usual skincare, my serum, my moisturizer, and then I will apply like a little dot of squalene oil. Squalane? I don't know how to pronounce it. I believe that one is supposed to be best for like skin that's prone to congestion because it doesn't clog pores. That is the first thing. This morning I woke up, I knew that I already had these things going on, and I knew I was gonna have to conceal them. So first thing I did after I washed my face was that. I did my skincare, popped on a little bit of the oil, and just kind of let it like sink in to really hydrate that area. Hydrate that area while I was like having my coffee this morning. Then I kind of like went in, just patted whatever was left over so that you don't have like a ton of oil, like facial oil. And then I applied my sunscreen. That's the reason that I'm not showing you, is because I applied my sunscreen. It's like a whole fucking step. You have to like wait and 15 minutes and blah, 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 whatever. So hydration is number one, just keep that in mind. Yeah, the next thing is I personally like to do my spot concealing when I'm finished with the rest of my base. And the reason for that is because you are applying like blush and bronzer and contour in all these different areas of your face. And it's going to, be different colors all over the place. If you go in and you spot conceal, you do all of this like work to create this coverage in a certain area, but then you're going in with like your blush brush and your bronzer brush and your contour brush and your powder brush. You have to be so careful not to remove that coverage. So it's a lot easier to not only cover those areas at the end of your base, but also you can customize the color. So if I have a spot here that's like gonna be a little bit lighter than like a spot right here where I would contour, I can kind of mix my like concealer color to match that area of my face. Long explanation, I know. So having said that, I'm going to do my base the way that I always do, which you guys have seen a million times. If you haven't, just like literally go like a video down, and then we will spot conceal. Okay, so I have the rest of my base on. I kept it very natural. I did contour, bronzer, and blush. That's pretty much it right now. I feel like I can't really see the blush. Now, once again, truthfully, these areas, like where mine are right now, they're relatively lighter than the rest of my face, or the other areas of my face. So I probably could have spot concealed before, but I didn't want to risk it. What you want to keep in mind for spot concealing is coverage in those areas, okay? So if you keep the rest of your face like pretty natural, lightweight, looking like skin, but then you amp up coverage in like another area, like if you just keep the coverage to this area, this is something I learned from Lisa Eldridge, it's going to create more of an illusion of flawless skin because you don't have that like thick, heavy coverage everywhere, which can make it look very obvious. So you're kind of tricking the eye into thinking that like you have perfect skin by just like, oh, we'll just focus that coverage like right there. But the rest of the skin doesn't look like heavy. It looks like natural, The next thing that you want to consider is what color is your breakout right now? Mine are obviously like relatively red. A green color corrector can really help with that. So just a teeny little like dot of a green color corrector just to kind of like neutralize that redness. Truthfully, oh, what's that brand? There's a brand, oh my, it's literally on the tip of my tongue. Amazing Cosmetics. I think they have a green color corrector concealer that is like so thick and pigmented, and it really, really covers. That's a good one. I used to have that, but I think it expired and I had to throw it out. So if you really need coverage, that's a really good one. LA Girl Cosmetics has really good ones too, color correctors. They definitely have a green like little concealer thing, which I don't have. The one that I'm gonna use is actually, it's more of a primer, like for your whole face to correct redness. This is the redness corrector, step 1 primer from Makeup Forever. So I'm just gonna use the tiniest little bit. This is a little bit more sheer than, anything else. So I'm literally just going to pat this on top of that and then just kind of like blur the edges a little bit. This formula is also like, it's very lightweight. It's pretty hydrating, so it's not gonna dry out this area either, which is nice. Actually, my whole fucking chin is kind of red. This kind of patting motion really helps maintain coverage. Next, you have to kind of assess what color is this area of my face. Is it the same color as the rest of my face? Is it slightly darker? Is it slightly lighter? Like where are we in an area where I've highlighted? Are we in an area where it's like the same color as the rest of my face? Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention is if the breakout is just like dark, then you might want to consider treating it as if you have dark circles, going in with a little bit of like a warm peach, orange, or red color corrector, depending on your skin tone, and using that underneath your concealer, which will help prevent it from looking gray when you put your concealer on it. So I'm going to use a concealer that's very close to my skin tone, and then I'm going to go in with something a little bit lighter, I think, but we'll have to see. Where's my Kosas concealer? So for me, my perfect match of a concealer for my whole skin tone is the Kosas concealer. I think this is the Revealer concealer, is that what it's called? But this is in the shade O2W. Yes, I'm on the website for, I believe, the shade slightly lighter than this. It's not my color. I was hired as a model, just so everybody knows. This is the one that matches me perfectly. O2W. So what I'm gonna do is pop a little bit of this directly on the breakout. Not too much, the tiniest amount. Like that. And now I'm gonna let it sit. Okay? The longer you let something sit, the more full coverage it will be. I don't do this for under eyes because it can end up looking like kind of cakey, but for, once again, for spot concealing, layers, okay? What's up? How you doing? Just gonna wait for a minute. So now what I'm gonna do is, using my finger, the warmth of my finger, I'm going to pat that area, pressing really lightly, trying to press that concealer into that area. And then I need a little guy. I have this little Refer 03 brush. I love this thing. It's a little pointed pencil brush. I'm going to blend around the edges. I'm going to try not to touch the concealer that's actually on the blemish, just around. So just kind of like buffing it, fading it out into the rest of my skin. Now, this one's a little bit of a bitch, so I'm gonna do the same thing all over again. That one needs a little bit more. This one's like pretty decent in my opinion, but I'm gonna do just like a little bit more. Once again, just pressing. Now, if this was in an area that was like over here, I would use a ever so slightly darker concealer. Maybe I would put it on the back of my hand and mix like a little bit of a cream bronzer, like the tiniest bit of a cream bronzer, just to kind of like, you know, manipulate the color a little. You want to make sure that it's not like sticking out because it's a lot lighter or darker. So I'm really building that one up. So I just kind of like pressed into that one. And now I'm just gonna do the same do the same blend. Okay, you can repeat that process a few times if you feel like you don't have the coverage quite there. Now, the next thing that you want to do is make sure that that's not going to move. So you want to pick a powder, like a setting powder, that's going to be close to that color. You don't want it to be too dark because it'll be like very obvious, but you also don't want it to be too light because then it'll stand out. So I'm going to use my LC Cosmetics setting powder because it's quite light and this area of my face looks really light. So what I'm going to do first is grab, oh no, I dropped it, fuck. Is grab just my setting brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of powder on that, and I'm going to just press over this whole area, including that breakout. Pressing helps to maintain the coverage without removing it. You don't want to go like this. Now, using a smaller brush, this is from the Milk Cosmetics Butterfly collection. Just like a little pencil brush, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to pick up a little bit more of that, focusing it on the tip of the brush, kind of like that. And I'm going to press this over that concealer. buff around those edges. All right, and that's it. Breakout's gone. Like if you're looking at my whole face right now as a whole, you don't see anything. Especially since the coverage on my, like the rest of my face is relatively light. Like I said, I'm not wearing foundation. I'm just wearing like a little bit of concealer and stuff. You see tiny little imperfections coming through like freckles and stuff. So even if you haven't covered these breakouts perfectly, it's gonna look more cohesive with the rest of your face. It kind of gives you the illusion that your face is like very flawless, that your skin looks beautiful without having like heavy coverage everywhere. Now, if you want to, if you feel like those areas are a little bit dry, you could just go in with like a little bit of a setting mist to kind of like let that set in. And something to keep in mind, if you are having a really hard time covering them, once you go in with powder, don't be afraid to go in with a little bit more concealer. You can do that. And then go in with a little bit more powder. Like when it comes to breakouts and trying to conceal those, cover them up. Just like layer on the coverage. Just keep all of the things that I said in mind. You want to do like relatively light layers. You want to make sure that you are blending around the edges each time. And yeah, that's the best way to do it. In my personal opinion, spot concealing is the way to go rather than super full coverage. I understand if you have like certain areas of your face that maybe there's just like a lot more breakouts. Like say for instance, you get a lot of breakouts like around your temples. Do your whole face the way that you like to, you know, like you don't have to pile on the coverage everywhere just because you have breakouts in one area. Then just focus that coverage in that area. If it's on your cheeks, do it there. If it's on your chin, do it there. But I'm just saying you have options. So that's how I spot conceal. I think I did it pretty well. I like the way it looks. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Yeah, that's it. Bye.